ASMR Gaming News. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special ASMR Movie Geek review. So, today we're going to be reviewing the new Marvel movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I have some nice gameplay here in the background, and I'm chewing two delicious pieces of strawberry bubblegum. So, wow, first I have to say this review is going to be spoiler free at the beginning, so don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, but about halfway into this review, I'm going to give a spoiler warning and go spoiler, 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 and I'm going to talk spoilers. So at that point, you can either pause the video or leave the video, but I'm going to be sure to leave a warning. So, wow, my first impression, I just got out of the theater. What an interesting movie. That's how I'm gonna call this, an interesting movie. I wouldn't call it confusing, but it has a lot of stuff going on. This is definitely the kind of Marvel movie that you watch it once, and then the second and third time you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, oh okay. So definitely requires a little bit more attention, I would say. Lots of stuff going on. Wow. Now, before we get to talk about the movie, I just want to say I really like Doctor Strange. He's one of my favorite, MCU heroes. Out of all the movies, I would put the first Doctor Strange in my top 5, which I know for a lot of people might seem weird, but I really enjoyed the first Doctor Strange movie a lot. Fun fact, the first Doctor Strange movie came out in 2016, and that is the year that I created my YouTube channel. So, wow, that was a long time ago. Okay, so I've definitely been waiting for some Doctor Strange for a while. So, the first big thing about Doctor Strange, the first movie compared to the second, is the directors have completely changed. So, Sam Raimi, famously known for his Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, he directed those movies, and he also directed the Evil Dead movies, which, if you're a horror fan, chances are you've definitely heard of the Evil Dead. Famous movies. Those are great, kind of creepy and scary and insane, but also really awesome. So, Disney got Sam Raimi to direct the new Doctor Strange movie. So, he's had work in the past, but his last superhero movie was actually Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire back in, when did that movie come out? 2007, I think. When did Spider-Man 3 come out? I think it was 2007. Spider-Man 3, yeah, 2007. So, he's definitely, been out of the superhero movie business for a while, but he's back, and let's just say you can definitely tell he directed this movie. There's a lot of little cinematography references and scenes and things that he does in other movies that he kind of references in this new Doctor Strange movie. There's also references to his past work in the dialogue. So a lot of things like that. So if you really like Sam Raimi movies, you're gonna enjoy this. Now, before we get to the actual music and acting and all that stuff, there's one thing that I want to get out of the way. Personally, I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange movie a little bit more than the second one, and I'll talk more about that in the spoilers, but let me just say something. Originally, Disney hired this director called Scott Derrickson to direct the first Doctor Strange. And this guy is a pretty good director. He also helped write the actual like movie. So not only did he direct it, he also like co-wrote the story for the Doctor Strange movie. So I really like that. Now, he was going to be the director for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but there was like some conflicts. Apparently, he wanted to do a different Doctor Strange story, and Disney did not want that, so he had to go work on another movie. He said, okay, find somebody else. Disney got Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi, of course, super happy to jump back in, make a new superhero movie. But, yeah, the writers are completely different. None of the writers from the first movie helped write the second Doctor Strange movie. And I kinda liked that director. Sam Raimi is also awesome, but I feel like something that they captured with that first Doctor Strange movie, they kind of lost a little bit in the sequel. And if you're a Doctor Strange fan and you enjoyed how he looked and acted and how the story played out in the first Doctor Strange, you will notice some differences. So I'm just saying that. But let's get on to the acting, the actors. Benedict Cumberbatch, fantastic. Oh my goodness. Wow. Apparently after this movie, he decided to take some kind of like a break from acting, he said, so he deserves it for sure. This was probably an intense movie to make. Lots of stuff going on. So, yeah, he should definitely take a little vacation. He probably got tired after making all of these movies. But, great acting from him. He absolutely stole the show. Best part about this movie was all the scenes with him. Honestly, this movie, the parts of it that I don't like are usually the parts that don't have Doctor Strange in it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Returning characters, of course, from previous Doctor Strange MCU movies that are alive are still here, of course. So we get to see some of those famous and beloved characters come back. So I was really excited. They also, this is not a spoiler by the way, but they also introduce a brand new character into this movie, America Chavez. And she is a girl which basically has a special power where she, unlike Doctor Strange, she has the ability to open up portals that are interdimensional, and basically she can open up the multiverse and just travel between worlds and realms without like any problems. So she randomly ends up in Doctor Strange's, MCU world that we know and love, and the story just goes from there. I thought she did a good job. I was actually surprised that the movie didn't use her as much in some scenes like I was expecting the movie, because in the trailers and in the posters, it kind of showed a lot of her near Doctor Strange, so I was like, okay, this movie's gonna feature a lot of Doctor Strange and a lot of America Chavez, but yeah, she was kind of like a side character, like a very like side background character almost for a portion of this movie. She shows up when she needs to during the big key moments, but hopefully they use her more in the future or in any other things that she shows up in. I thought the actress that plays her did a great job. So definitely want to see more. But yeah, that's one thing that I was like a little bit surprised of. I was actually hoping for more of this character, because I feel like a lot of people relate to like the teenage MCU characters, which is one of the reasons why Peter Parker, as Spider-Man, is just so popular, because like kids and adults both can like kind of get along and I guess see things from his point of view. So it was cool to have someone young in the movie, unlike Doctor Strange, which is like a much older guy. So she definitely brought some like comedic moments into this movie. There was this one scene where Doctor Strange was talking to her about Peter Parker actually, and he was like, yeah, Spider-Man. And she was like, ooh, a guy that's a spider. And he's like, no, he's human. And she's like, what? Ew. Does he like shoot webs from his butt or something like that? And the whole theater started laughing because, it's like a normal reaction for someone that's never heard of Spider-Man before. You would probably think something like that, like, ooh, it's a weird spider mutant type guy. So there's funny comedic scenes like that. I really enjoyed the banter, like the jokes between her and Doctor Strange, which is kind of surprising because I would say the previous Doctor Strange movie had some jokes, but it definitely felt a little bit more serious at times. And this one is somewhere in between. Like, there's very, very serious moments. I'm talking incredibly dark moments. And then, like, other parts, they're just, like, joking about stuff. It's kind of funny. Now, let me just say this. The level of, like, violence and, like, dark content in this movie is by far the darkest MCU movie. Now, I'm not going to include, like, TV shows or X-Men movies or stuff like that. I'm just talking, like, current MCU movies. This movie is by far the darkest one. And I know some of you might be like, what? Didn't you watch Endgame? Didn't you watch Infinity War? Nope, this is nothing on those. This movie goes in, like, really, really dark areas. And, I was actually kind of surprised at times that it got a PG-13 rating. There are actually a couple scenes in this movie that they're kind of scary. I'm just gonna put it that way. Definitely a little bit scary. So, Sam Raimi, of course, he directed a bunch of horror movies, so he knows how to make stuff suspenseful or scary. This movie has a few jump scares, just so you know, so you're gonna see, like, Doctor Strange or other characters walking around slowly, and then bam, something jumps out. And the first time or second time that it happened, I actually kind of got scared, low-key, which was kind of surprising in an MCU movie. Like, I was like, wait a second, I'm supposed to be watching a superhero movie, like a Marvel superhero movie. What's this? But it actually worked. It made you feel a little bit more worried for the characters because it seemed like the movie was taking itself way more seriously. So I liked that. There are a few scenes in this movie that I would say directly feel inspired by the John Constantine movie that came out in like 2007, 2006. When did that first Constantine movie come out? If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was this movie, Constantine, based on the DC character John Constantine, 2005, featuring actor Keanu Reeves. That movie was R-rated, super dark, had like angels and demons and possessions and all sorts of like crazy intense like scenes and stuff like that. This movie feels like a PG-13 version of certain scenes of the Constantine movie. No joke. So, I was honestly surprised. Like, I was like, yo, whoa, okay, we're going here. Okay, alright. So definitely kind of creepy at times. Felt a lot scarier and more serious. So I liked that. If you were looking for a darker MCU movie, this is the one. I feel like Marvel, they might have heard a lot of criticism from some of their previous movies, like, oh, Marvel movies are always like super cheerful and colorful and happy, and they never go into like dark territory. This one goes there, so who knows if they're gonna go like this in the future with their, upcoming movies, but this was definitely a surprise. I can't really talk about other actors that are in this movie because it's all like spoilers, which is kind of sad. Just know that there are other characters that show up in this, and it's a huge surprise. Possibly the best moments in this movie are secret. like I would say the middle to end half of this movie is like the best part. So definitely worth watching, especially for that portion. Now, I would say that the music for this movie was really good. Some scenes where it was like really uplifting and happy. There was like nice background music, ambiance, stuff like that. But then in other scenes, we got like really, I want to say like unnerving and scary, kind of like on the edge of your seat, suspenseful type music. So the action sequences, or I would say like very dark moments of this movie, have like a very ominous score in the background, which is something Sam Raimi absolutely loves to do in his other movies. If you ever watched one of his Spider-Man films, usually during like the intense fights in those movies, he'll like ramp up the music, kind of make you feel like you're in the shoes of Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire and what he's going through, and this movie definitely accomplishes that. So great music. I love the score for this. As far as special effects go, wow, this movie completely goes in another direction with the special effects. There's one sequence where it's not really a spoiler, like, it's not. There's one sequence where, they're showing the multiverses, and they're, like, completely, CG, but it shows you, like, a bunch of different multiverses at once. Like, you go through one, and then the next one, and then the next one, and each multiverse has, like, a theme and a different, like, animation style. There's, like, a cartoon multiverse. There's, like, this bones and decay multiverse, like, dimension, and we get to see, like, all of these mashed together, and they zoom by. It's a very interesting scene. I loved it, and it made me feel comfortable after seeing that. I was like, okay, the CG, like, animation in this is gonna be fantastic. The CGI, people that are working on this, they know exactly what they're doing. It feels like they got some new people, because I would say the last two MCU, like, Marvel movies that I've seen, that's one part that I did not like as much, was like I would say special effects could have used some work, but this one, definitely really cool. So I love the special effects, and since it's Doctor Strange, I feel like you need all the, cool action scenes to be just jam-packed with, like, explosions and magic and all sorts of, like, fire and smoke and sparks and things that you would expect from a typical Doctor Strange fight. So that definitely works here. Now, did I enjoy this movie? Yes, I really enjoyed it. It seems like a lot of the people in the theater with me enjoyed it. But I'm gonna say something. When I was leaving the theater, I heard a few people say this, no joke. There was like a kid behind me, and the first thing that I heard him say was, I liked the first Doctor Strange better. And that's what he said, and I kind of felt the same way when I finished watching the movie. And I think that might be the opinion of some people. Like, there are some people that absolutely love the first Thor movie. They didn't really like the second Thor movie. There's people that love the first Ant-Man movie that didn't really like the second Ant-Man movie. And I feel like maybe Doctor Strange is in that category. The movie was fantastic. It did a lot of stuff. But there's one thing that it did, which I felt took away from Doctor Strange and his parts of the movie. And I'll talk about that more in the spoiler section. But yeah, I'm a little bit like, it's hard because I really enjoyed the movie, the parts with Doctor Strange and the story and everything going on with him. I loved the darker aspects of the movie where they took Doctor Strange's character, what they did with him. Loved it. But then there's other things that kind of, the first or second time they happen in the movie, you're like, okay. But then as it goes on, you start to be like, oh, this is not only a Doctor Strange movie, this is also and I'll probably have to go in the spoiler section for that, but yeah, there's some things that I did not appreciate, but overall, great movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. I would say still an amazing rating, worth watching, one of the better MCU movies, and there's a lot of like fan service stuff in this movie, so if you're a fan of Marvel, you have to watch this movie, because there's a lot of stuff that happens which you will probably absolutely love, and I think this is a good movie. I'm happy for Sam Raimi, he's back working with Marvel again. If this movie does extremely well, I can see Disney being like, hey Sam Raimi, we want you back, can you make some more movies for us? Just imagine if he gets to do Spider-Man 4. If Sony is like, hey, we saw what you did with Doctor Strange, we want to see you do a new Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Can you do it? Imagine that. So, really happy for him. Great music, great CG, acting, the set pieces, the fights. Loved all that stuff. Now let's get to the spoilers. Spoiler. Okay. So, let me tell all of you the one thing that I did not like that much about this movie. Scarlet Witch. And I say this as a person that's a fan of the WandaVision show that they put on Disney Plus. And I was always a fan of Scarlet Witch and, Wanda in all her appearances, from like all the Avengers movies and things she's appeared in. I absolutely loved her. In Avengers Age of Ultron, I would say the Scarlet Witch, Wanda scenes are among my favorites. So I'm a fan. But there's one thing that this movie does. It basically cuts this movie in half and makes it a Doctor Strange 50% and a Wanda / Scarlet Witch 50%, and you mash it together and call it Doctor Strange, but it doesn't feel like a full Doctor Strange movie. Now, I know the MCU has done this with other movies, like Captain America Civil War had a ton of Tony Stark and a ton of Captain America, so they've done this in the past. That's perfectly fine. Even with other movies like Thor 3, we had a bunch of Hulk in that movie. People love seeing Hulk and Thor together, so I'm not complaining with the team-ups or other characters showing up, but I was honestly not expecting Scarlet Witch or Wanda to be like almost the main character at times of this movie. Like, I know she was supposed to be like the villain character in this movie following WandaVision. If any of you watched that, it was great. Absolutely loved the WandaVision show. But she shows up in Doctor Strange about, 20 or 15 minutes into the start of the movie. And then from that point onward, it's basically Doctor Strange and Wanda just cutting each other off for a portion of the movie. Like, oh, we have 5 minutes of Doctor Strange. Oh, but now we have 10 minutes of Wanda. Okay, now we have like 10 minutes of Doctor Strange with America Chavez doing their thing. Oh, but now we have more, Wanda. And in this movie, it's mostly just Scarlet Witch taking over, going crazy. It basically follows the plot of WandaVision, where Wanda is still extremely hurt at Vision, dying basically. And she's just, created almost like I would call an obsession with her children from another dimension, like another multiverse. And she wants to basically go into that reality, kill the Wanda that's in that reality, and then get to be with her kids from that reality. Very dark, very twisted. You can see that she's going through a lot, just to even think that. It's very strange. You think that she would have learned something from WandaVision, but in this movie, it's basically WandaVision 2.0 with Doctor Strange at times. I would say she tries to like use persuasive words to convince Doctor Strange that what she's doing is for the good of everyone, but she's completely acting selfishly, not caring about anyone else. She straight up kills a ton of people in this movie, like legit kills them, and all for the sake of getting to America Chavez to open up a multiverse portal so then she can go into another reality where there's a Wanda that, was with Vision and they had kids. And I understand that she's going through a lot, but I don't know, it kind of annoyed me a little bit because I was expecting throughout the whole movie for another like villain or evil character to show up and be like the big bad, like a Mephisto or someone like behind Wanda. But at the end of this movie, it's just her. And she kind of gets off with like a slap on the wrist, like, oh, you realize what you did was wrong. Okay, well, I'm out now. It feels like the exact same punishment she got at the end of WandaVision. Like, at the end of WandaVision was like, oh yeah, I completely took over a town, I brainwashed everybody, but there was Agatha, and I defeated her, and everything's good. Don't worry, doesn't matter that I brainwashed a ton of people just for my personal, like, playground. And then this movie, she goes even further. And then at the end, like, Doctor Strange is like, okay, see you later. It felt a little bit weird, even though she realized what she did was wrong. It's kind of like, maybe we want to call the Avengers, tell them that Wanda's going crazy, have some kind of intervention here or something. Cause the next movie's gonna be WandaVision 3, The Return of Scarlet Witch. So I really did not like her actions in this movie and what they did with her. And that's what made me curious to see what the original director of Doctor Strange wanted to do for this movie, because apparently Disney wanted this. So I would be really interested to see what they were going to do with the original director's script, because I have a feeling that he would have done something different. That's just a feeling I get, but you can tell that I'm pretty heated about this. But yeah, I don't know. And I wouldn't have a problem, because, like, of course, America Chavez is a character that's with Doctor Strange in this movie. She's another hero, basically. So I have no problems with other people in this movie with Doctor Strange. But I didn't like that it focused, like, so much on almost, like, the villain character. Like, half the movie was showing us what Wanda was doing and everything, which, is okay. Like, for example, Black Panther, that movie, it showed both sides. You got to see hero, and you got to see like the almost like anti-hero character, what he was doing the whole movie, what was going on, and at the end there was like the huge big clash together. This movie though, it felt like they were just like, oh yeah, here's Wanda, this is her movie, and then like, here's Doctor Strange, this is his movie. It was almost like they were fighting for like the top spot at times. It was weird. Now, this movie, just to go through the story super quick, basically, it starts out with Doctor Strange having an insane dream. He's in some realm fighting with this girl who turns out to be America Chavez. By the way, interesting name, right? America Chavez. In this movie, they refer to her as America a bunch of times, which is kind of funny considering, America also, like, we're in America. So, I don't know, there were some people that kind of laughed at times when they called her, like, hey, America, over here. I think there was, like, one scene where someone's like, America is safe. So, definitely an interesting name, but she's great. Doctor Strange wakes up from this dream. He's like, what was that? He ends up going to a wedding of Christine. She's marrying some other guy. If you don't know Christine, she's played by Rachel McAdams. She was the love interest in the first Doctor Strange movie. And since Doctor Strange did so many things on his own, he doesn't really have much of a romantic life, so she ends up going with some other guy. So he's there at the wedding, and then all of a sudden, outside, an invisible monster is fighting, trying to catch America Chavez, and he's all like, what's going on? And he reveals this invisible tentacle monster with one eye, kind of looks like a beholder from Dungeons and Dragons almost. Really creepy, destroying the city. Doctor Strange defeats it by piercing it through its eye with a spear. They actually show it in great detail, so it's extremely graphic and violent. Like, I was surprised, like, yo, they just speared that thing, and they showed like the blood and everything. So wow, okay, kind of tells you what kind of movie you're getting into right at the start. So America Chavez, she reveals what's going on. Then Doctor Strange is like, oh, I'm gonna go ask for some help. He goes to Wanda and is like, hey, we need to help protect this girl. She came from another dimension. The Doctor Strange there was trying to take her energy or something. There's a whole plot going on with that, but don't worry about that right now. So basically, Doctor Strange then notices that Wanda created a whole fake reality where she's living in currently. She's using like dark witchcraft magic to send like demons after America Chavez so she can capture her and absorb her energy and power. So then Doctor Strange is like, yo, what is going on here? So it was all like an illusion. Scarlet Witch is still like full control of Wanda, and she says something like, basically, hand over the girl or I will take her by force, or something like that. So Doctor Strange goes and meets up with the Supreme, Wong. He's awesome, by the way. He's in this movie. And they end up going to, the main temple area that's featured a lot in the first film. There's a lot of other warriors, magic users there, sorcerers. And they basically try to protect America Chavez. Wanda shows up. There's a huge magic fight, which is amazing and scary at the same time. And basically, Doctor Strange and America Chavez have to escape. They go through a portal and end up in various different, multiverse dimensions. And they get to one in the future. Or they get to a multiverse that's not necessarily in the future, but it looks futuristic, let's put it that way. So, Wanda's extremely mad. She kills basically everybody there, or a bunch of people. She can't get through to where they went, so she's meditating in the inner chamber. She has Wong in almost like a lock. He's basically prisoner, and at this point of the movie, there's a whole scene with Doctor Strange and America Chavez basically going on this whole adventure and stuff together. Probably the best part of the movie because it's focusing more on them. But the dimension they ended up in, Doctor Strange is dead. Christine is a scientist there studying basically studying Doctor Strange and multiverse travel and stuff like that. And they capture Doctor Strange and America Chavez. They put them inside sealed glass rooms, and it's pretty intense. Then we get to see that Mondo, what's his name? Or Mordo. Why did I say Mondo? Mordo, villain character that was in the first Doctor Strange movie. You remember him? I'm sure some of you remember him. He's basically the Sorcerer Supreme since Doctor Strange died in this dimension. And everything in this dimension is different. They don't really have the same Avengers as we do. And there's a huge cameo scene that happens later, which I'll talk about. But basically, just to skip through a bunch of stuff, Doctor Strange gets out. Wanda shows up because she basically meditates. And with her, witchcraft, she manages to go through basically her dimension reality into the mind of the Wanda in another reality. She took over that Wanda in the reality where America Chavez and Doctor Strange are currently captured. And then she ends up going to this, place where they're being held because she wants to kidnap America Chavez. So in this place, we get to see like these Ultron robots all go and try to attack Scarlet Witch, and she's just like destroying everybody, and they're no match for her. And then we see like some heroes arrive. They're not really the Avengers, but it's really interesting. So basically we have Peggy Carter. Peggy Carter, she is the love interest and secret agent to Captain America in our, MCU universe. Well, in this world, she's basically Captain America. So Peggy Carter's Captain America. We have John Krasinski playing Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. He shows up to defend and protect. And we also get Black Bolt. Black Bolt has like supersonic voice waves, like audio waves. So with his like voice just going like can break, destroy, super strong power, like voice power. And it went by really fast. I did not see who the other was. I'm sorry. They didn't really like announce their names or anything. I know someone in the comments is gonna let me know. But basically, they all show up in the room and they're acting all like tough, like, yo, we're about to beat you, Scarlet Witch. And she absolutely annihilates everybody within like 20 seconds on her own. And she kills them. Like, she doesn't like disarm them or beat them up. No, she straight up kills them. So Black Bolt is about to like yell to, kill Scarlet Witch, and she just removes his mouth with magic, so he yells internally with no mouth, explodes his brain. We see the brain actually like explode in his head, and he falls. So I was like, yo, oh my goodness, that's insane. Then it cuts to like wait, let me see, who does he kill? Mr. Fantastic, played by John Krasinski. You probably know him from The Office. He plays Jim. Yeah, Jim from The Office is Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four. And she basically slices up like his entire body made of plastic as he's stretching. He's dead. Yeah, it's pretty violent. Then we have Peggy Carter throw Captain America's, her shield at Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch like grabs the shield with like her, telekinesis energy, throws it back at Peggy Carter, and she basically kills her like Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie. Like, the shield just slices right into her. And it's actually kind of graphic, like there's blood then that we see dripping off the shield, and I was like, yo, they just murdered Peggy Carter, Captain America, in this realm or this universe. And then she drops like a huge statue on the remaining superhero that I can't remember the name. I'm so sorry, everybody. And then after all of this, Professor X, yes, Professor X from the X-Men, shows up. And yeah, it's played by the same exact actor. Everybody lost their minds in this theater. Like, they were like, yo, this is one of like the first like official big X-Men confirmation crossovers with the MCU movies almost. So this was a really big deal. It's almost like seeing, like, I would say like Logan, Wolverine, played by the original actor showing up in the movie. Like, that would be a huge deal, Hugh Jackman showing up as Wolverine. Everybody would lose their minds. Well, we got Professor X, so he basically, he uses his powers to go inside Scarlet Witch's mind, and we see Wanda trapped under all these rocks inside like a cave, and he's like, give me your hand, Wanda, I can free you. Scarlet Witch has taken control of your mind. And then at that moment, Scarlet Witch like teleports behind Professor X, and before he can do anything, bam, she snaps his neck. And it's like super loud and graphic. Like, we legit get to see Professor X gets his neck snapped, and I was like, I was scared. That scared me, and it was really sad. And everybody was like, when it happened in the theater, like, wow, everybody like audibly gasped because we thought he was gonna do something. So, yo, that was crazy. So finally, after all of that stuff, she manages to kidnap, America Chavez, and she kicks Doctor Strange and the Christine through another portal, and they end up in like a really messed up reality world. So Christine, Doctor Strange's love interest, played by Rachel McAdams. Doctor Strange end up in this other universe. Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch, leaves this realm with America Chavez. They go to some like temple high up in the mountains. Looks like Skyrim. I forget the exact name they used, but there's like demon guardians there. They've been waiting for Scarlet Witch to show up. She's there. She's on her throne meditating. Wong is also there. There's a bunch of other scenes that happen in this movie where they try to destroy these like books and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into all that. I'm kind of speed running the story here, but basically the final confrontation is Doctor Strange versus like an evil, darker version of himself, where everything basically went really bad for this Doctor Strange. So he's fighting that version of himself. He ends up winning, and basically he has to save America Chavez because she is in another reality and they're stuck in their own dark, version of their own reality. It's kind of confusing, I know. But Doctor Strange does some kind of like ritual where it's like a forbidden ritual that he's not allowed to do. He basically possesses the dead body of himself from another reality to go in his reality. Technically the body was already in his reality, but and basically fly to where Wanda is and America Chavez is and Wong is, and try to stop the transfer of power from America Chavez to Scarlet Witch. So he does this by conjuring like up all sorts of like magic and stuff like that. Then there's these like souls and like demons that show up and are trying to like torment Doctor Strange. Straight out of like the Constantine movie. Reminds me of the Constantine movie, so I don't know if Sam Raimi was inspired or what, but definitely felt like something out of there. Huge like fight sequence. Basically Doctor Strange manages to use like these like spirits, these like dark evil ones for himself, and they all go and like attack Scarlet Witch. He manages to free America Chavez. Scarlet Witch is kind of like locked up, and then the final battle is between America Chavez, who Doctor Strange finally tells her like, you can control your powers, believe in yourself, you can do it. So it's America Chavez versus Scarlet Witch, and she uses the strongest thing she can against Scarlet Witch, her children. She basically opens up the teleporter, dimensional reality portal for Scarlet Witch, and just like throws her as she is into the living room with the Wanda from the universe and the children she wants to be their mother, she wants to be the mother of. And the kids are like freaked out, like, you're not our real mom, get out of here, mom, save us, you're not our real mom. And then like the other Wanda, the real, mom of these kids in this multiverse dimension, she's like knocked out because this Scarlet Witch knocked her out, and the kids are all like crying and like scared, and she's like, I'll never hurt you guys, and they're like scared of her, and she finally like realizes it, like, I don't want to hurt my kids, and what am I doing, I'm crazy, it kind of annoyed me. It kind of annoyed me, like, like, okay, Wanda, this is literally what everyone's been saying, like, you couldn't have thought of this sooner. But she finally realizes what she was doing was wrong, and the portal closes. Those kids, are back with their original mother there and happy. But Scarlet Witch is like, oh, okay, and then she just goes back and starts meditating again on top of this, like, mountain thing. And it's like, oh, okay. Then it starts to like crumble and break, and Doctor Strange and America Chavez and Wong get out of there. And then the movie kind of ends. We have a happy ending. Wong is teaching America Chavez with everyone else. Doctor Strange goes off and does his own thing. But yeah, I guess the next Doctor Strange movie might have America Chavez in it, working together with Doctor Strange. I have no idea what they're gonna do with Wanda. I feel like she stole a lot of this movie to focus on herself. I wish they would have just made WandaVision Season 2 for her. I felt like she didn't need to be in this movie as much, so I don't know. I also wanted like a big final battle, and this movie didn't really have a huge final battle. Like, I don't know. Basically, Scarlet Witch just felt that she was, wrong, and she gave up, and that's the ending. So, felt a little bit cheated, almost out of a big fight with an actual, like, super villain. A lot of people were hoping for Mephisto to show up at the end. For those that don't know, he's like a big villain, MCU or Marvel villain that would fit perfectly with like this magic themed movie. But no, he's not in this at all, which is surprising. Now, there's after credits for this movie, and the big one is basically, what is her name? Clea, I think. Yeah, I think her name's like Clea. Basically, at the end of this movie, a portal opens up. Clea jumps out and is like, we have to fix something. And Doctor Strange is like, oh, okay. And they go through a portal, and the portal looks exactly like the one Doctor Strange went in when he fought Dormammu in the original Doctor Strange movie. And basically, for those that don't know, Clea, she's kind of like a humanoid looking character who is like the daughter of Dormammu's sister. So that's interesting. Apparently she's like a fangirl almost of Doctor Strange, or at least a fan, or is intrigued by Doctor Strange. So next Doctor Strange movie might feature her, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's basically everything. Hopefully you all enjoyed my Doctor Strange review. I enjoyed the movie, but as you can tell, I did have some issues with it. But thank you all for listening, for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. So long, and farewell.